make contact up there. So it's an interesting foul.
The Golden Goose is dead, and the WNBA just admitted they killed it. September 5th, 2025. While America was settling into their evening routines, scrolling through social media, something devastating.
Not the typical swipe through that you normally see, in that she's coming with that left hand.
Devastating drop that would shake the sports world to its core. Caitlin Clark, the woman who single-handedly dragged women's basketball into the mainstream spotlight, posted a message that felt like a funeral announcement for an entire league's future. "I will not be returning to play this season." Just like that. 7 words that sent shockwaves through every
and there is a little contact of the ball, the follow-through.
Sports newsroom in America. But here's the kicker that'll make your blood boil. The WNBA knew this was coming. They sat on this information. They waited. They let the playoffs begin, let fans buy tickets, let broadcasters hype up storylines, all while knowing their biggest star, their meal ticket, their Golden Goose, was done for the year. This wasn't just bad time.
With no whistle.
This was a calculated cover-up by a league that has perfected the art of shooting itself in the foot. Clark's full statement hit different when you read between the lines. "I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling."
Now there's nothing Indiana.
Think about that for a second. Hours. Every single day. This isn't some pampered superstar phoning it in. This is a young woman who poured everything she had into trying to save not just her season, but an entire league that never deserved her. But the story gets even more.
Maybe leans into the contact and the embellishment of it.
I think she leaned into that embellishment early.
Twisted when politicians start weighing in on a basketball injury. Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa, a sitting U.S. senator, felt compelled to release a public statement about Clark's injury. "Mrs. G and I will miss watching Caitlin Clark play basketball this season. I want her to heal and continue to dazzle the fans and advance women's sports." When was
this half when we saw Kennedy Carter get her? I thought that should have been upgraded and not just call it away from
the last time a senator issued a press release about a sports injury? Never. Because this isn't just about sports anymore. This is about the systematic destruction of American excellence by jealousy and incompetence. Iowa isn't just supporting their hometown hero, they're mourning what feels like a national tragedy. And maybe that's exactly what this is. You want to know how we got here? Let's rewind to the warning signs that everyone chose to ignore.
Foul, but this one I think is a little bit of an embellishment by Caitlin.
Right. The contact from Carter was just an away from a play foul, not a flagrant foul.
The 2025 season didn't just injure Caitlin Clark. It tried to break her spirit from day one. Multiple injuries throughout the year, each one more suspicious than the last. A coaching staff that seemed more interested in managing egos than winning games. And referees who stood by like
penalty 1, which it probably should have been upon review, at least by our account.
Mannequins, while the league's biggest asset got pummeled night after night. This wasn't bad luck. This was a pattern, a systematic failure that started from the very top and trickled down like poison through every level of the organization. The coaching situation alone should have been a red flag visible from space. Here you have the most talented player to ever touch a double.
Could have gotten rescore personal, but can also see that being a no call.
WNBA court, and she's stuck with a coaching staff that couldn't strategize their way out of a paper bag. It's like giving Picasso finger paints and wondering why the Mona Lisa looks like a kindergarten project. But the referees, they turned every Clark game into a combat sport while pretending it was basketball. Foul after foul.
No call.
Foul after foul, each one more vicious than the last, while officials suddenly developed selective blindness. You'd see more protection at a neighborhood pickup game than Clark got in professional arenas. Here's what makes this whole disaster even more heartbreaking. We're talking about the greatest college basketball player in history. Not just women's basketball. All of basketball. Let those numbers sink in for a moment. 3,000.
Now, the Kennedy Carter bucket.
1,951 career points, making her the Division I scoring leader across all genders. She's the only player in history, male or female, to achieve 3,500 points, 1,000 assists, and 850 rebounds in a career. In her final college season alone, she dropped 1,234 points, the most in a single season in Division I women's basketball history. She nailed 201 three-pointers in one season, a record that'll probably stand longer than Stonehenge. She led college basketball in both points and assists not once, but twice. The Big Ten all-time assist leader with 1,144. 10 career triple-doubles with 25 or more points, something no other player has achieved more than 3 times. These aren't just impressive statistics. These are video game numbers that broke the simulation of what was thought possible in basketball. Charts comparing her to other players looked like she was competing in a different sport entirely. You'd see all the other dots clustered together in one corner, and then there's Clark, a bright green that's sitting alone in the stratosphere of excellence, so far removed from everyone else it looked like a mistake. She didn't just play basketball. She rewrote what basketball could be. And then she entered the WNBA, where greatness apparently goes to die. From her very first professional game, it was clear that Clark wasn't walking into a welcoming environment. She was walking into a hostile takeover attempt, except she was the one being taken over. The jealousy was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Players who'd been toiling in obscurity for years suddenly had to watch a rookie command more attention in one game than they'd received in entire careers. The physical targeting started immediately. We're not talking about hard fouls or aggressive defense. We're talking about deliberate attempts to injure. The eye poke from Dijanai Carrington wasn't an accident. You could see in the replay that Carrington knew exactly what she did, and instead of checking on Clark, she celebrated like she just hit a game winner. A foul wasn't even called. Let that sink in. The league's biggest star gets deliberately poked in the eye on national television, and the referees treated it like a normal basketball play. It's like watching someone get mugged in broad daylight while the police write parking tickets. Then came Kalani Brown's flagrant foul, a vicious hit to Clark's head that was ruled only a flagrant one, as if attempting to decapitate the league's golden goose was just slightly unsportsmanlike conduct. Brown hit the ball first, sure, but the follow-through looked like she was trying to knock Clark into next Tuesday. Marina Mabrey took targeting to a whole new level with what can only be described as assault masquerading as basketball. Multiple incidents in single games, each one more egregious than the last. The fact that Mabrey wasn't immediately ejected, suspended, or prosecuted tells you everything you need to know about how the WNBA values its stars. Social media became a documentation center for abuse. Fans were posting compilation videos of Clark getting hammered, and instead of a league taking action, they doubled down on denial. It was like watching a slow-motion car crash where everyone sees it coming. Everyone knows how to prevent it, but nobody with power wants to step on the brakes. This brings us to the systemic rot at the heart of the WNBA. League management didn't just fail to protect Clark, they enabled her destruction. Every non-call was a message. Every missed suspension was a green light. Every press conference where they downplayed the targeting was an invitation for more violence. The duty to protect your stars isn't just good business. It's basic human decency. When you have a player who's bringing unprecedented attention and revenue to your league, you don't let other players use her as a punching bag. You protect that investment like it's the crown jewels. But the WNBA chose a different path. They chose to sacrifice their golden goose on the altar of fake competitive balance and misguided egalitarianism. They acted like Clark's success was somehow unfair to everyone else, instead of recognizing it as a rising tide that could lift all boats. The cultural tensions underlying this disaster can't be ignored. When excellence meets resentment, excellence usually loses, at least in the short term. Clark represented something that made certain people uncomfortable, and instead of examining why they felt that way, they decided to make Clark pay for their discomfort. This isn't about basketball anymore. This is about what happens when institutions prioritize politics over performance, feelings over facts, and mediocrity over magnificence. The broader implications of Clark's season-ending injury extend far beyond one player or one team. The WNBA just lost its biggest draw during the most critical time of the year. Playoff viewership will crater. Casual fans who tuned in specifically to watch Clark will tune out just as quickly. Sponsors who signed deals expecting Clark's star power to drive engagement will start asking uncomfortable questions about return on investment. The timing couldn't be worse for a league that was finally gaining mainstream traction. Clark didn't just bring eyeballs to the WNBA, she brought legitimacy. She made women's basketball appointment television for millions of Americans who'd never cared about the sport before. Now what? How do you market a playoffs without your biggest star? How do you maintain momentum when your momentum generator is sitting on the sidelines in street clothes? How do you convince the next generational talent that the WNBA is worth their time when they just watched you systematically destroy the last one? The answer is, you probably can't. Clark's career trajectory now hangs in the balance. She's young, talented, and has options. International leagues would pay her handsomely to play basketball without getting assaulted twice a week. Media companies would line up to offer her broadcasting deals. She could start her own basketball academy, write books, launch a podcast empire, anything that doesn't involve getting beaten up by jealous professionals while referees look the other way. The question isn't whether Clark will bounce back from this injury. The question is whether she'll want to bounce back into the WNBA. And honestly, who could blame her if she didn't? Looking at this young woman, because that's what she is, just a college graduate trying to play the sport she loves, it's hard not to feel like we're watching a tragedy unfold in real time. She entered professional basketball with dreams of elevating the game, bringing joy to fans, and competing at the highest level. Instead, she found a league that viewed her success as a threat to be eliminated rather than a gift to be cherished. The WNBA had their golden goose. They had their meal ticket. They had their pathway to mainstream relevance and financial stability. And they systematically, methodically, deliberately destroyed it all. Caitlin Clark spent hours in the gym every day trying to get back on the court. The WNBA spent months figuring out how to cover up the fact that they'd failed their biggest star so completely that she couldn't continue. The golden goose is dead, and the WNBA killed it with their own hands. The only question left is, will they learn from this catastrophic failure, or will they spend the next decade wondering what might have been if they'd just protected the best thing that ever happened to them? Based on their track record, I think we all know the answer to that question.